I'll take the diet that guy's on. That healthy-looking guy on the right with the tie. LOL, this is Gary Carburetor, and today I want to talk about the diet that Dennis Prager is on, which I was wondering about while I watched this interview. Even though Dennis is not a diet teacher or diet influencer, let me show you at the beginning of this interview what got me thinking about diet.
Not too know him. Today we're going to be speaking for the first time, maybe not the last time, we'll see how it goes, with Dennis Prager. Many of you may know him from PragerU, from his radio program. He had a Dennis, welcome. It's great to speak to you today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Just to start, and this can be so quick and then we move on, just as a sort of sanity check, I've started to ask guests in this year, last year, the following question. Is there any way to accurately say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? Just a simple answer if there is one, and if not.
It's funny. You regard that as a sanity check.
I do.
So let me offer my sanity check.
Please.
Do you believe that men who say they're women can compete with women in women's sports?
I think.
Okay, I found something that I think might be the reason. 7.5 minutes in, he makes some analogy with kidney stones.
Just parenthetically, I just did an hour of radio because I do a lot of hours that are not politics, and
Sure.
and it was about a subject because I'm writing a commentary on the Bible, and I'm finishing volume 4, in which I discuss on one verse: is there luck in life, or is everything God's will? I'm a deep believer in God, and of course I believe there's bad luck because that's reality. If you get a kidney stone, and I use that example, I don't believe God placed the kidney stone in your kidney. I believe that it was your crappy luck that you got a kidney stone.
But let me just dig, not to interrupt, but I want to make sure we know what you mean by luck. Do you mean by, let's imagine the prevalence of kidney stones is 2%, just for hypothetical, for our conversation. God created a world in which there's a 2% prevalence of kidney stones. You had the bad luck to be in the 2%? Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
That's correct. That's
okay. Now,
And that's false, and I will say something on this later.
why did God create the kidney stones to begin with?
He didn't. It's not so simple.
Because God did not create perfect nature. I mean, trees can fall, avalanches can happen.
Okay.
It is our task to fight cancer.
Well, I agree that luck exists, and the Bible says that God is not controlling everything, and that we are on our own.
45% of young Americans say they believe in free speech, but not for hate speech. It shows you how incoherent young people's thinking is, that they don't understand that the whole point of free speech is to allow speech that you can't stand. Okay?
No. So by now you figured out he's a political figure on the right. But we're not going to talk about that, except I do want to say something that is classified as hate speech is not what people don't like. That's not the definition of hate speech. So he's playing right-wing political. But now back to luck. Getting caught in an avalanche is bad luck. But when you get kidney stones, that's not inherited. Kidney stones are caused by lifestyle. Okay, let's check out who is most likely to get kidney stones. Risk factors. White men in their 30s and 40s are most likely to get kidney stones. Now, why is that? Risk factors include not drinking enough liquids. What about beer? Having a diet that includes substances that form kidney stones, which would be too much phosphate, for example, is in meat, along with the other things that people don't eat much of, but American white men do eat a lot of meat. Family history. Okay, so there is some hereditary factor, but that alone doesn't cause anything. You can overcome that. Let's see. High calcium levels in the urine. Now, what causes the high calcium levels? Why is the body getting rid of this calcium? It's not like Americans eat too much calcium, and they get osteoporosis. And the theory is it's using the calcium, which helps to flush out the excess protein that Americans do eat. Now look at the other three here. High blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity, all related to high meat and fat consumption. Oh, there's much more. Oh, look, osteoporosis in there. Let's see, these two would be diet related. Certain foods can also place you at risk. These include meat, animal protein, sodium, highly found in processed meats, sugars, refined. Back to Prager. So I guess it was the fact that he's a right-winger, and let's be honest, he looks a little overweight. And then he says kidney stones are bad luck. It's just so typical. It all fits together. And so I thought, I can just imagine what his diet is. And I was thinking, I'll bet he's bought into that low-carb scene. And I wasn't going to go looking around for that. I had no idea the topic of his diet would come up in this very interview. It's a good thing I skimmed through it all and caught the ending. Let's skim through this to the end.
When people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. And
open to anything. What's wrong with that?
Movement is the proof. I said on Bill Maher's show 4 years ago, right? He said, oh, Trump lies. I said, it doesn't compare to the lies of the left. America is systemically racist and men menstruate.
The first one is true, and he's bullshitting that Donald is the worst type of politician we've ever seen. He lies so blatantly and so often. While the regular old politicians, they just lied when they had to for political reasons. Like when the opposing side would put them in a tight position. That's the reason for lying. But then, now things are worse because of these fat white fucks with sociopathic personality. Don't give a damn.
He cracked up, the whole audience cracked up, and the whole panel cracked up. They were all laughing at me. And Bill Maher said, this is why it's gone viral. There are like 10 million views of this particular scene.
Is he going to appeal to popularity now and say, well, I must have been right because...
He says, Dennis, where'd you come up with that one? And that was 2019. Within 2 years, if you denied men menstruate, you were considered transphobic.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm glad to have...
I'm just going to skip by this one.
I hate to interrupt. You first said kids. In college, they're adults, right? So which are you talking about?
Right, both. Your anatomy should dictate in elementary school which bathroom you go to. Where there is one stall, I have gone into the women's bathroom. So
very genteel of you.
I'm sorry?
No, I said that's very genteel of you. I'm sure the women appreciate it.
It's just common sense. I'm a big believer in common sense.
But so elementary school, it's a genitalia.
But yes, your anatomy should dictate. If it involves exposure of your genitalia, it should be dictated by anatomy. If it does not, if a man exposes himself, but where if he says I'm a woman, then she could be arrested if she complains. Why can't decent people just say, look, women are not aching to see most men's penis?
Okay. Why are you talking about it?
I don't ever see any genitalia.
Oh, yes, I understand that.
I can't believe David is having this conversation going on 10 minutes about the bathroom law thing. I think this stupid small issue is what people blamed back in 2016 for people just turning against the left, Democrats, and just voting for the psycho on the other side. You would think, we've all learned our lesson, you would think this issue would have died. Notice I have no comment. I'm just skimming through this. Don't want to talk about that. There's so many other better things to talk about.
One last thing, just because of who you are, I have to have you weigh in on this. When it comes to corned beef, do you go lean or do you tell them just give me the fat pieces as well?
Yes, actually, it's funny you should ask.
Yes, it's funny you should ask, because here we go. A right-wing figure who's a fat white man. You know it's coming. I know. I've seen this so many times now.
Because I'm on a pretty rigid diet now, which doesn't allow for carbs, and they want me to have the fat.
Oh,
they want me to have that. So he's watching low-carb gurus on YouTube in the low-carb scam community, who I've discovered are mostly right-wingers. And the diet is a scam because it's all about attacking carbs, making carbs seem like the enemy, making it a scapegoat to save fat and save the meat industry. That is all it is.
What?
And David Packman over there, you may know him. He doesn't call him out at all. He brought this up, though.
Want me to have the fat.
Oh, do they?
Yes, fat is the government screw.
Here we go. Check this out. Government conspiracy. Food pyramid kills no one. Because no one's eating. Jeez, I'm eating it. I'm 55. I have no health conditions. Just doing great over here.
The government screwed up the Americans with their chart on having grains a lot and fat a little.
There's the chart. He's talking about the food pyramid, and no surprise, attacking the food pyramid is trending on YouTube this year. And so he's just repeating the bullshit he's heard from his circles, his right-wing circles.
Fat is not bad for people.
No one said fat was bad for people. It's a high-fat diet that is bad for people. See, that's how right-wing politicians especially play things.
Fat is not bad for people. It's actually in many ways good for people.
Well,
so
saturated fat,
question.
but
all right. So you go lean, I take it.
I just don't like the texture.
All right. So I have one final word for you.
Texture? Oh, thanks, David. You have helped out a lot. Now I will end this video showing you another political figure, one who's just hit the spotlight, one who is thin in body and in ethics. This guy, Vivek Ramaswamy. Here he is being interviewed on TV by Reverend Al Sharpton, who is a vegetarian, and it's his words that I want to show you, because he's basically just now presuming the kind of thing I've been teaching here, that to be conservative or right-wing is to not care. That sums up their party's position, is to just care about yourself and not anyone or anything else, like the environment. It's the first time ever seeing this before. Check out what Reverend Al says.
Joining me now is 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. First of all, thank you for being here and engaging us in this conversation. I want to start with comments you made referring to Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and author Ibram Kendi as, quote, grand wizards of the modern KK. Now, I understand you differ with both of them politically and probably with me. You're running to be the leader of the free world, so your choice of words matter. Have you taken any time to reflect upon the possibility that comparing your political rivals to murderous terrorists might put their lives in danger at a time when hate crimes are on the rise? Or do you just don't care?
So Reverend Sharpton, I don't look at the world through political parties, frankly.
He's got them figured out, just like I have.
It's good to see. It's been 20 years since we last spoke. You know what's toxic about that old worldview of organizations like the KKK, which have been a god-awful stain on our national history, is that they say that your skin color determines what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to think. To say you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told because you're black or brown skinned. Well, you know what Ayanna Pressley said much more recently is that we don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. And so, yes, I do think there are echoes of a historical ugly racism in this country now showing up in new clothing.
To say we
and
don't
what I want to lead us to as the next president
just a second.
is a united nation where we don't actually judge each other on the color of our skin.
To say that is not going with sheets and burning crosses.
Number one, notice how Vivek didn't let Al Sharpton interrupt him. Just kept talking. If someone took exception to something I had just said, I want to hear it so I can set the person straight. But Vivek can't set him straight because Al Sharpton was calling out his bullshit. Vivek didn't let him. And those assholes in the comments of this video praising Vivek for not letting Al Sharpton interrupt because the answer is so good. There's your systemic racism all over the place. Notice what Vivek ignored in Al's question is that Vivek could be getting people killed and he's increasing the hate and he doesn't care. Watch him keep doing it.
that had a group that were terrorizing.
So I agree
and
with you. We
killing
need
them.
sensitivity.
So I think we need to be very
part of
careful
what we need
about
is
that.
open
And I wanted to raise that
conversations.
with you
We need
directly. Let me go to my next point.
And I respect that you're
because I
willing to have
want
an
to get
open
to your
conversation.
campaign, but
That's
I
what we
want to
need in this
ask you a
country.
couple of questions.
My next video will be a change of pace. Before the summer's over, I want to make a garden video. And warning to all those right-wingers out there who might be listening, there will be discussions of kale and even some dirty pictures. Subscribe to this channel if you want to regularly hear from someone who's real and genuine in a world full of bullshitters. And share this video. I think this video, as a political video, it's better than most out there. And it also works as a vegan and diet-related video. That makes it one of the top most videos, just like 98% of videos out there.